The S&P 500 and the tech sector up for 9 straight weeks. The S&P Tech Sector, XLK, is the most overbought since the week of January 19th, 2020, 4 weeks prior to the COVID crash. All right, we're going to start off here with the SPY. It was up $1.88 on Friday, a tight little doji type candle, and for the week up $10.84. Now you can see, first I'm going to start off with the weekly. The divergence went away. So we were showing an RSI divergence for quite a while here on the weekly chart, but with the price action of the last week, that disappeared. But you can see right over here on the daily chart, we got fairly significant divergence, at least as of the close on Friday. So let's take a look at the major subcomponent that's really driving the S&P 500. Well, it's the tech sector and the semiconductors, which are really a part of the tech sector. But XLK was up $4.17 on Friday, up $10.63. And it too, just like the SPY, has been up for 9 straight weeks in a row. So we're getting pretty extreme in here. And here's where I was talking about with XLK. The RSI reading here is 87.4, and that is the most extreme reading since the week of January 19th, 2020. Now, when we come over here, you're getting the same kind of divergence that I was showing you on the S&P. It's all just sitting there waiting for the price action to start to roll over, which it hasn't done yet. I mean, that's a given. We haven't seen this. We got, I think, 1 day closing below the 10-day. That actually might be right on the 10-day moving average since back over here on March 31st. But the underpinnings of this market are basically saying there's a lot of things that aren't supporting what's going on. All right, now I want to take a look at the summation index. So let me just show you the data here. So this is the data that drives the McClellan oscillator. It's really a breadth indicator. So here's advancing and declining volume on the New York Stock Exchange. 40% of the total was advancing on Friday. Here's the 10-day moving average. And then I do keep the same thing on volume over here. It drives the oscillator reading and it drives the summation index reading. So let's take a look at the summation index, because the summation index is like a cumulative of the oscillator. Now, what's really interesting about this is it's just not confirming the move in the S&P 500 to new highs. Not even close. Let me give those dates up there so you can see. This is January into February, okay, of this year. And then here's what it's showing for the move in April and into May. We're just not getting any confirmation at all. And the same thing happened, I believe, if we go back, let's see, 25, 24, 25, right here. You can look and see right here is the fall of 24, September of 24. And we get into the beginning of 25, and here's the highest point that you get in January into February. We'll see if it gets February 21st, okay? And then we got that huge sell-off that bottomed out in April that was all related to the tariffs and Liberation Day, etc., okay? But the whole point is the summation index wasn't confirming anything that was going on in here in terms of the market activity, and we're getting a similar type thing going on right now. Okay, now I want to take a look at a couple of the stocks that had spectacular results this week, starting off with DELL. So let me scroll down and I'm going to pull up DELL right here. So on Friday, it was up $103.86, just incredible. And the volume right here, about almost 42 million shares. And for the week, up $125.72. This was the biggest one-day result for DELL ever, okay? And then the weekly chart, what's amazing is when you look to see not only what happened on a weekly basis, well, let's just focus on the weekly for a minute. Up 103.76. It closed on May 12th of last year at $103.42. It literally went up on Friday more than it actually sold for in May of last year. Just incredible stuff going on. Now, could this continue to push a little bit higher? Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of momentum in here, but man, this is really, really getting stretched. Okay, now I want to take a look at a related stock to this, because DELL talked about, the memory issue that's going on. I've got it down here somewhere, MU. There we go. So MU was up a little more subdued, only $47 on Friday, but up $220 for the week. Now, it doesn't look nearly as dramatic as that bar or the candle I just showed you on DELL, but wow, up $220, 29.3% for the week. By the way, DELL was up 42.6% on the week. So here we have MU up 29, and talking about being up $220. Where was it trading? Back over here in October, the week of October 12th, it closed at 202. It's just amazing what is going on right now with the push higher in the whole AI type trade. Okay, and then related to the technology sector, not to be outdone by DELL, although it was slightly, Snowflake had its results out after the market on Wednesday, I guess it was. So Thursday, let me see, I'm looking at my data. Thursday, it was up 36.5%, which actually beat DELL's one-day performance on Friday. DELL was up 32.8%. Snowflake was up 36.5%. And it was up $83.35 for the week, up 48.4% for the week, which actually beat DELL's percentage performance for the week also. Very incredible stuff. When you look at the daily over here, this did just close the gap that was created on the day of December 4th. That gap was created, that moved down right here. Well, with the high that occurred on Friday, it closed that gap. Now, just eyeballing this, I haven't spent a whole lot of time really analyzing it, but it looks like 5 waves down and a pretty sharp, at this point, 3-wave move back up. It looks like very counter-trendish to me. And the other thing that caught my eye is when you look at a candle like this week right over here, the week of November 17th of 24, very similar. And you could see, yeah, we had a little bit more push to the upside, then we got a pullback, and then we got non-confirmation going on in here, and we got a much more significant pullback that literally reduced or retraced the entire move, okay, into the low of April of 25. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's something to be paying attention to, especially when you get a move like this. Okay, the next thing I want to take a look at is the Qs. So let's go there and pull up the Qs. Okay, right back up here, all the way up here. There we go. So the Qs were up, here, let me give it to you, let me show you. Up $2.71 on Friday. A tight little doji candle, actually, very small, just a little, almost looks like a potential evening star type of thing. We're definitely getting the divergences just like on the SPY. And we're up $20.77 for the week. We don't have 9 weeks in a row here on the Qs like we have on XLK and the SPY, because we had a slightly down week the week of May 10th. But we're very overbought on a weekly basis also. We're sitting at 81.6. You can see the reading there when I move my cursor out of the way. 81.6. And I use a 10-bar RSI. I just like the way the data that it gives me and the results and the picture a little bit better. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, that is the most overbought since we were focused on XLK. It is the most overbought since June 10th of 23. So let's just go back over here to 23, right here. You can see here's the reading right here. We're talking about the week of, actually, the week of June 11th of 23. And the RSI is 83.4. Okay, so a little bit higher than what we had. And but you can see we got a few more weeks push up into mid-July, and then a fairly decent corrective activity that ended back here in October, towards the end of October, and then it took off again. So we'll see what we get. I mean, we're definitely sitting at pretty overbought type readings. Now, from an Elliott Wave perspective, here's what I'm looking at. Okay, let me look at the weekly. So I'm looking at this. I think we're in a third intermediate wave up. And I'm coming off of the low of October of 22. So I think we're in a fifth wave up from October of 22. I think we've had 1, 2, and that we're working our way up into an impulse wave structure in here, and that we're in the third wave of a third wave. I just think we're right now getting very, very close, based on what we're seeing, to getting a wave 2 pullback. Do I think we're about to crash? No, I don't think we're about to crash. Do I think we're going to get some, pretty decent corrective activity that could go on for several weeks? Yes. So, I mean, when you look at wave 1 that we have right here, we're getting beautiful divergence occurring right here. And so here's a couple of targets in terms of pullbacks if this were to, go ahead and do the corrective type move that I'm looking for. Okay, we've had a pretty straight line move with 3 days worth of pullback right in here in mid-May, and that's really about it. Okay, now if you want to get a more detailed breakdown of what's happening in here within this move and what I'm looking at, and with all the other major indices, and a review of the other key indicators that we watch every day, head on over to joehenches.net. Check out the website, check out the membership. Everyone have a great week. Talk to you on the next video.